AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
All right, Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Fast-moving hour number 1. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Talk some Saints in 15 minutes. Had Larry Holder's biggest question for the Saints entering the summer months. I'll get to that coming up in 15 minutes. LSU will be part of the kickoff crew for SEC Media Days a week from Monday in Atlanta, Georgia. Our station, most of our station, will be there. Morning show, my show, Matt's show, all from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. I'll certainly be writing some things up for LouisianaSports.net from over there as well. And LSU is part of the group that will start things on Monday. And the question is, who are they going to bring? And I've got my thoughts on that. And I think it's certainly interesting from my perspective because that's who I'll be talking to, and that's who I'll be writing about, and that's who you'll be reading about and hearing from on our airwaves. And this is a time of year where we don't hear from many folks in the college football world. Like, you got Garrett Nussmeier at the Manning Passing Academy. You're not going to hear, outside of that 5 hours in Atlanta, anything from an LSU football player until the beginning of August. So you've got 5 weeks until you're going to hear from LSU football players and kind of what they have to say. So to me, there's some intrigue there. And the question's, okay, who are they going to bring? Last year, they brought Garrett Nussmeier, Mason Taylor, and Harold Perkins. Okay? I think it's essentially a lock that Garrett Nussmeier goes. There's an element of it that you like to send the quarterback if you can. There's an element to it of he's going to be embarking on a little Heisman early season chase here, and there is some value in getting him the exposure to the national media if you're trying to do that. I remember when Patrick Peterson kind of exploded onto the scene, returning kicks for touchdowns, and then he was out there playing some wide receiver briefly, and like LSU threw some Heisman stuff at the media, like, hey, look at this Patrick Peterson, check it out. And you can kind of lay the groundwork for that kind of stuff with Garrett in the summer months here. So I think Nussmeier is going to be there. Beyond that, I think it's kind of a crapshoot. I don't think they'll send Harold Perkins. He's coming off the injury, and he went last year. And a lot of times this is thought of as kind of a reward or an experience that you want to give multiple players on your team. So I don't think you'll see Harold Perkins. So you go to the next group of players that I think likely, in my opinion, and I could be proven completely wrong. This is a new era of college football. I don't think they're going to send the transfers. They certainly could, but I just don't think they're going to send transfers. I think they'll probably send guys who have been in the program for a couple of years. So I think that you're looking at a group on the offense, like Chris Hilton's been around for a long time. He's an old player, figures to be a big part of the offense if healthy. Do you want to send him? I think that would be very cool. Aaron Anderson had a great year last year. He's now in his 3rd year at LSU. Do you want to send him? You don't have returning players on the offensive line that I think necessarily merit that. We never talked to Caden Durham last year, so I don't know how he handles the media. I don't know that Trey'Dez Green or Bauer Sharp are going to be picked. So you start to get kind of slim pickings on the offensive side when you rule out a lot of the transfers. And then you go to defense and you look at Ashton Stamps, who's a 2-year starter, Jacobian Guillory, who's returning, Whit Weeks is a preseason All-American, Jordan Gilbert is a very old player who has spoken to the media a few times. We talked to him a couple times last year. So there, I think, are some more options on that side of the ball than there are on the offensive side. There are different types of motivations for this assignment. One, some players hate talking to the media. They tell the coach, I don't really want to talk to the media. And if you don't have to, they just don't. And so I don't know who that necessarily applies to on this team, but that happens sometimes. Sometimes the coach says, we're only going to bring seniors. That's sometimes a program decision. That's when you end up with punters. That happens a good bit. I bet there's a punter that goes this year. There's a punter almost every year. And it's usually from a team that's like, yeah, we send seniors. Sometimes it's for national spotlight. Sometimes it's for a team captain type deal. You've represented us well. You can go ahead and go. And then last year they said Harold Perkins went just because they felt like people needed to hear his story. So I'm not exactly. Brian Kelly doesn't have a long enough track record at this for me to figure that out for this year. But I got to guess, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I've got Nussmeier as one pick. My second pick, I'm going with Jacoby and Guillory. Sixth year player coming off of an injury, really had a great fall camp last year, leader of a defensive front that, is supposed to be significantly improved. He's taken on a leadership role with Don McKinley and Ashton and Ahmad Bro there in the middle. Like, I feel like that's a guy that makes a lot of sense. And then I'm just going to throw Whit Weeks in there as well. He's affable. He's a great quote. He's got that Southern drawl that everybody thinks is great. And he's a preseason All-American, like I mentioned. So to me, I think those are the three that are going to be my guess. Would it completely floor me if Brian Kelly sent a transfer? No, it wouldn't completely floor me. Like, there are some guys they brought in that were here in the spring that I could see you sending. Like, Josh Thompson went to Northwestern. I've never spoken to him, but my guess is he's a pretty well-spoken guy. He went to Northwestern. You want to send him? Maybe he went to Big Ten Media Days last year. I don't know the answer. It's probably not true. Don't often send your right guard. But you could send him. Could you send Barry Brown, who's kind of been a star in the SEC from a kick turner perspective, that's kind of showing the opportunity you get as a transfer portal addition from to LSU, that, hey, if you come here, you might be able to go to SEC Media Days. Could you send Nick Anderson, who set a freshman touchdown record at Oklahoma? Jack Pyburn is a great quote. I mean, we talked to him in the spring. He's awesome. Like, do you want to send him? He considers himself a leader on the team. So, yeah, you could send him. Now, you're opening the door by sending Jack Pyburn or Barry Brown to them being peppered with questions of, why'd you leave Florida? Why'd you leave Florida? What's your NIL? You're opening the door for questions that aren't necessarily focused on the LSU football team in 2025, that are focused on those individual journeys away from places they were to LSU, when it's well chronicled that LSU was ditching out huge sums of money. And if you want to avoid those types of questions, you would avoid sending those types of players. So that's kind of where my head is. I think it's Garrett Nussmeier, Jacoby and Guillory, Whit Weeks. Those are three guys who have been at LSU the whole time. Those are three guys who have some skins on the wall. Those are three guys. I mean, I haven't talked to Jacoby in a lot, but he did come into studio and talk to Matt during the spring on AFR. So I know that he's open to doing some things like that. So that's my guess to this point. But Beck, do you have any thoughts on any of the names I mentioned? Chris Hilton, Ashton Stamps, Jordan Gilbert, Aaron Anderson, like from on-field stuff. I know that you don't talk to the players like I generally do at player interviews, but like, is there a name that makes sense that I'm missing here?
I don't think so. I don't know that you're going to go for any offensive linemen.
They're all transfers or guys that have never started.
Right. I mean, I don't think any offensive linemen. And then, there's no running backs. I mean, Caden Durham's still only a sophomore. He's not going.
Caleb Jackson probably not going to go.
Probably not. No, I think this is a pretty. I think it's going to be one of these guys, but along with two of these guys, along with Nuss, I think is going to be. You
agree that Nuss is a slam dunk? He has to go?
Yeah, of course. There's no question. I mean, it would be.
Matt Moscona has a rule that says you have to bring your quarterback.
Yes,
that would be.
It's not a real rule, but
he would say you'd have to bring your quarterback.
Yes, well, especially in this situation. I mean, that there's just no chance it's not him. It's got to be him, and then
every media days from here on out, I will always remember a column I wrote as a young writer for Bayou Bengals Insider.
Wow.
Prior to the 2012 season. 2012 season.
Okay.
And I wrote that, man, what an amazing year for quarterbacks in the SEC. Zach Mettenberger, A.J. McCarron, Aaron Murray. You had at Missouri, they had the guy that won a ton of games up there. I'm blanking on his name. You had Connor Shaw.
Yeah, who was that?
Cook. No, that was one they just
No,
had.
that
I
was
can't
later.
think of it. But it was a great year, except Texas A&M really has no idea what they're doing at quarterback. And their quarterback won the Heisman.
Yes.
Now, I don't think when I wrote that in July of 2012 that anybody knew that Johnny Manziel was going to win the Heisman.
Probably not.
So I'm a little bit off the hook. But I did just say, well, everybody is awesome at quarterback, except A&M kind of sucks. And then their quarterback won the Heisman. Literally the best player in the nation. So that was a bad column.
Who is the quarterback? I can't find. Wait, no, that's not right. Corbin Birch.
Nope.
No, that's not
Not
right.
right. If you said it, I would know it. From
Yeah,
Missouri.
I'm looking at the 2012.
I think a quick,
Are you sure it was 2012?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at their stats from games in 2012, and it's not.
Is it 13?
It might have been 13. I think it's 13.
Because Mettenberger was coming back.
Yeah, I think 12 was his first year.
Go with 20. It was.
Yeah.
But he won the Heisman.
Not Heisman. Wait, you're talking about
I'm talking about Manziel.
Manziel. That was
12.
That sounds right.
Was it 13? Am I just complete? Yeah, it was 2012. Okay. Yeah,
James Franklin?
that's it.
Yeah.
James Franklin. He won a lot of games. I mean, he wasn't like an NFL guy, but he was
No.
good college quarterback. He was in the Connor Shaw mold of this guy is just a good player. I said A&M was terrible, and they were not terrible at quarterback. They, in fact, were one of the best teams in the country. And towards the end of that season, would have been a handful for anybody to beat.
Heisman was 2012. Yeah. So I don't know that what. Yeah. Interesting.
It doesn't matter.
Either way.
Let's talk about the Saints next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
It is that time of year where everybody loves hopping in the pool, cooling down a little bit. It's grabbing a cold beverage. Maybe it's hanging out with the kiddos, catching some rays, decompressing from work, celebrating a holiday. Gotta love jumping in the pool. And if you don't have one, well, get into the pool of your dreams. Renaissance Homes and Pools can make that a possibility. The best part about working with Renaissance Homes and Pools is you're going to work with the owner, Joey Blanchard, directly. You're going to sit down with him at the computer with this incredible software that they have that's three-dimensional and can lay out the entire design of your pool to scale with the furniture and whatever custom designs you're looking for, whether that's tailored to children, grandkids, whether that's tailored to adults and happy hours, whether that's cocktail parties, whatever the custom design that you're looking for, he can make it happen right there in front of you with this software. And then he's going to be there start to finish. When the digging needs to be done, it's going to be done, and he may be jumping on the equipment to do some digging if somebody's on a lunch break. When it's being filled and finished, he's going to be there as well. He's done it for dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the Baton Rouge market. If you're looking to get that new pool, new outdoor kitchen, contact my friends at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Call Joey directly. Here's his cell phone number. Giving you his cell number. 225-252-7745. 225-252-7745. Renaissance Homes and Pools. Check them out online. BuiltByRenaissance.com. All right, was browsing for some Saints content today, and The Athletic had a piece up that said one lingering question for every NFL team entering the season. So what I like to do when I see a story like that is think about my answer to the question before I go read it. And if there's a lot. So when I see one lingering question for the Saints entering the summer months, I'm thinking, okay, is it Shook versus Rattler? Like, is that the angle? I get it. Like, it's probably Shook, but is Rattler really a potential starter for the team? Is that a question? Signing a veteran DB. We've seen a lot of that. They're very young at corner. Do they need to sign someone with a little more size, a little more experience at the cornerback spot? Like, maybe that's it. Is Cam Jordan done as an every down player? Like we saw kind of a resurgence after Dennis Allen was relieved of his duty last year of Cam Jordan kind of an every down role. And is he going to do that with Granderson and Chase Young on the roster? Is that a question? Like these are the questions that start running through my mind. Of course, you got Ken Penning play left guard. Like that's a question I'm looking at. Is Kamara going to still be asked to carry 90% of the workload? I could see that being a question. There's lots of questions. Is Demario Davis well past his prime? I can see that being like I'm going all over the field looking at questions. None of those questions were the question that Larry Holder presents for The Athletic here. And Larry does an awesome job covering the Saints. But I'll read from Larry's blurb here in the story. Quote, identities for teams often take a minute or two to form. As for the Saints, it feels like part of this team is in rebuild mode, and part of it thinks it's a contender for the NFC South crown. New coach, new coaching staff, new starting quarterback, first-round picks the last 2 years at tackle, but veteran players like Alvin Kamara, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan from the heyday, and veterans like Tyrann Mathieu, Justin Reed, Brandon Cooks. In a weak NFC South, maybe this team can still be a contender, and yet possibly one bad season away from clearing the deck at quarterback and moving on from many of those aforementioned pieces. End quote. That's what Larry said. And I can read that, and I can make the case for that question. I just hate it. Like, if there's anyone within that organization that has trouble deciphering whether this program is reloading, retooling, rebuilding, restarting, and still competing for championships, they're in the wrong building. Because I don't see how anyone could view it that way. The team was bad last year, fired the coach, the quarterback quit. You picked in the top 10 last year. Vegas says you're a 5-win team. You're probably starting a rookie quarterback. Like, hello? Who in there is determining that they're still pushing for a championship? I got it last year. You've got a coach fighting for his career. You've got a quarterback who's past his prime. Like, you don't really have another option with those guys in September other than, hey, let's go. When everybody on the outside's going, you can't go. You're not going anywhere. That's not the right coach, and that's not the right quarterback. But go ahead. And we saw what happened. It was a train wreck. And they fired the coach, and the quarterback quit. And now you've started to see over the last 2 off seasons, the Saints have tapped the brakes on the spending. They haven't unnecessarily hamstrung themselves in years to come. They got a new young coach. They finally drafted a quarterback early in the draft. Like, all of these steps that they're taking indicate, okay, take a step back. We don't have a head coach who knows this is his last chance. In fact, we have the opposite. We don't have a quarterback who knows this is his last chance. In fact, you have the opposite. And so I don't think there should be any confusion. Sure, Cam Jordan and Demario Davis would like to win the Super Bowl this year for the Saints. Sure, they would. And they're going to work really hard to try to do that. Guess what? It's not going to happen. But aside from the aging veterans, and more importantly, with the executives and the coaching staff, everyone should have no question where the organization actually sits at this current juncture. And any sort of thought that could creep into your mind that goes, Tampa's not that great. Atlanta's doesn't look good. I mean, Carolina's still, we met. No, just no. I don't care how good or not good Tampa is. I don't care how good or not good Atlanta is. I don't care that the Panthers are a disaster. That's not relevant. It was 2 years ago. It was last fall. It's not today. You have hit a button that indicates that you're not going to make the playoffs this year. So, despite the fact that you have aging veterans with decorated careers, not even just in New Orleans, he mentioned Tyrann Mathieu, mentioned Brandon Cooks. There is no question here That question doesn't exist. You don't have to say it to the media. You don't have to. Mickey Loomis, I'm not asking him to come to the microphone and go, yeah, well, we were kind of a disaster the last couple of years, so we're changing everything, and we're not going to be any good, but that's okay. We'll get a high draft pick next year, and we'll see. Like, I don't need him to come to the podium and say that. I need him behind closed doors to go, guys, we've kind of gotten ourselves into a spot that we're not going to be able to get out of immediately. There aren't 4 little tweaks to the salary cap and 1 free agent signing that are going to put us to 12 wins. We're not even close to that. So let's take it slow and find a way back to 12 wins that doesn't involve overpaying long-term deals that hamstring the salary cap years down the road. It doesn't involve a coach fighting for his career. Let's make decisions that are for the health and the youth of the organization. So while I don't have confidence in this Saints team to be good, I do have reason to believe, based on the actual actions of the executives, the coaching staff, and the organization over the last 10 months, that there is no question lingering where the Saints are in relation to the rest of the NFL. So while I do often agree with Larry and think he does an awesome job covering the Saints, I don't think this question applies to New Orleans. I think there is an identity. We're getting younger, we're getting cheaper, we're going to spend more time worried about the draft and not trading up, getting rid of 3 assets to move up 9 spots in the first round to take a high relative athletic score defensive end. That day is not today. And that's a positive for the Saints. All this I'm saying about there not being a question, that's a positive for the organization moving forward. It's a dark time to be a fan because it takes time. It's the only thing that can, time and draft picks. And that's not fun when you're a fan. But there's a light at the end of that tunnel if you do it the right way. There is no light at the end of the tunnel if you never, ever, ever relinquish the dream of competing this year right now. You just have to let that go for a second. And the Saints, I believe, have done that. Internally, not externally, but I believe they've done that to this point. So I don't agree with that being the big question for New Orleans, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. There's not a lot in the last 10 months that I could point to that would suggest that they're still conflicted. They know they got to restart. And I think they have. And that's good for the folks down in New Orleans. We're getting closer to the Saints jumping back into training camp. That'll be in 4 weeks? Ross Jackson still churning out content for LouisianaSports.net. We'll still have your content here on the show, and you can find our Saints content at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your sound, whether that's podcast or on YouTube. Just search Hunt on Saints and subscribe. We always appreciate that help with our Saints content. We got 30 minutes to go. Come back with us. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Just got a text from my wife who said she was at a work event last night, and one of her coworkers said that I pop up on the TikTok feed every once in a while. And the quote was that I have heated takes. Which I don't know if I necessarily agree with that too much, but I do. Every once in a while you got to prove a point. And then she said, "Calm down."
Maybe I would say warm takes. I don't know if I'd say heated. I would say like slightly warm.
I don't think we're looking for hot takes. I think we're looking for like loud, like demonstratively stated.
And I don't know why she would say calm down, Hunt. You're a very in control of your emotions
I think
person.
So. But here's the deal. I just texted her back because all she watches on television
is reality TV.
Is the Real Housewives of whatever. And I said, you watch drunk women yell at each other every night. Like, people don't want you to just sit there when you're on an entertaining platform.
Yeah.
And she said, I guess that's true.
It is true. And
you
not
can't
to
just
mention,
sit there and be like, oh, well, the Saints might not be that good.
Not to mention, you are truly a TikTok star, Hunt. I don't know if you know that or not. You've got multiple.
I don't know that.
You have multiple TikToks that have been some of the most highly viewed TikToks on our channel.
Wow, amazing stuff.
Because you're just born for it.
TikTok folks love me. What can you say?
Yeah.
I've never been on TikTok before. I don't know how it works, but
You're probably the only person who's never been on TikTok that has multiple TikToks with like over 1 million views.
yeah, maybe. I'm on Instagram. I see those views. That's good. TikTok, I don't do TikTok. That's all right.
It's okay.
If you do TikTok, that's great. Check out the Hunt Palmer Show on TikTok. Cassie will send something out
104.5
in the next
ESPN.
hour and a half. Yeah, that's us. Let's got winding things down here. We've got 20 minutes to go in the show. Basically, in the same light of the segment I just did, where we talked about a league-wide question that was posed. This one was posed on ESPN.com about college football, and they took every top 25 team in the country, which LSU is ranked number 6, and they gave them a sleeper pick. And when I read that, I just told you in the last segment, what I'll do is answer that question to myself before I go read the answer. And I had 2 picks for a sleeper pick for LSU and on either side of the ball. It was Barian Brown and DJ Pickett. I think, sorry, not Barian Brown, Trey'Dez Green and DJ Pickett. Pickett's a freshman, obviously 5-star, but has not played at the college level. I think he could be a sleeper as a guy who can really impact LSU's defense on the edge. And then Trey'Dez Green, I just think you saw in the bowl game when LSU's wide receiver core had been wiped out by opt-outs, like he was a handful for Baylor. And I think he can be a handful for everybody because he's just like, he's one of the guys that I interviewed a couple times during the midweek last year, and he walks in and you're like, geez, that guy's enormous. Like, I don't know if I immediately said that when we talked to Greg Penn when he came in. I don't know if I certainly would have said that when Aaron Anderson or Xavier Thomas comes in. And I don't even say that when Garrett Nussmeier comes in. But when Trey'Dez Green walks in, you're just like, oh. Mason Taylor didn't give me those vibes. Certainly, like, I would notice he was bigger than most people if I saw him at a restaurant. But, like, Trey'Dez Green, you're just like, oh, that guy's a freak. And so I think he and DJ Pickett, who also, by the way, is 6'4" corner and kind of freakish, those are my picks. I let the slip go there on who the pick was on ESPN.com as I was laying out my picks. But the pick on ESPN.com is Barian Brown. And Barian Brown is an interesting choice for sleeper because he set records in the Southeastern Conference already as a kick returner, but hasn't done that necessarily in the passing game because Kentucky's passing game has been abysmal. And when LSU signed Barian Brown out of the portal, my reaction was, okay, I know he was a highly thought of recruit. I know he's run some kickoffs back. I don't know if he's a great wide receiver. And I think that was fair just in my observation of the league. And then you turn on the YouTube highlights, and then you go to practice. And I'm not telling you Barian Brown's going to catch 1,000 yards worth of balls, but he does look like he knows what he's doing in the route running portion of practices. And I watched him run right by the LSU defense multiple times. And I think he is probably a more polished wide receiver than I personally suggested when he signed on the dotted line. When he signed on the dotted line, I kind of thought, well, they've got Chris Hilton, who's a burner who can run kicks back and is really fast. They've got Xavier Thomas, who is a kick returner. They've got Aaron Anderson, who ran a kickback at the end of last year. So I don't know what role he fills. And then I watched him at practice and I went, he can find a role. So it's a roundabout way of saying, like, okay, he could be a breakout, just in a very different way than he was at Kentucky. If Barian Brown catches 840 yards worth of balls and 8 touchdowns, like, that's significantly more productive than he's been at Kentucky. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, Joe Sloan, this offense, little more productive than what you've seen at Kentucky, which has been the last couple of years one of the bottom 2 or 3 passing offenses in the Southeastern Conference. But like last year, Barian Brown had 361 yards and 3 touchdowns. 361 and 3 touchdowns. He'll have that in September. I'm confident. His best year was his freshman year when he had 50 catches for 628 and 4 scores. Will Levis was the quarterback that year. And I think he could be a little bit better than that in this offense. So I guess that he's been asleep based on the Kentucky offense could break out in a far more potent and productive offense. He's a more complete receiver than I gave him credit for watching from afar. I can't. Cole Kublik can do it. Credit to him. But I can't necessarily dive into every player on every team and get a sense of what they're good at and what they're not. I can't do that for Auburn's left tackle. I can't do that for Texas A&M's free safety. I can't do that for Florida's running back. I can't do it for Kentucky's wide receiver. There's just not enough bandwidth in doing this job and covering LSU as closely as I need to for 3 different sports to really lock in. I know the names. I know the skill sets to an extent, but like I can't get as deep as some of those other guys who cover the league as a whole. And so Barry Brown was someone that I had a familiarity with that has changed over the last 8 months since he has committed to LSU. And so I think that's great. I would still go with Trey'Dez Green and DJ Pickett over Barry and Brown, but I do understand where that Barry and Brown pick comes from here. And he's just another cog in what should be a really, really good LSU passing game. And it all comes down back to one thing, just one thing. It's a big thing. It's the offensive line. And if you tell me that LSU's offensive line is 87% of what it was last year, just making up a number, just 87%, they're going to be a top 3 SEC scoring offense for sure. For sure. You just can't have it collapse, which you never know. You may be moving 5 spots. If DJ Chester doesn't crack in at a guard, 5 new starters. It's impossible to know how that's going to look. But I feel confident and comfortable with how everything around it looks. Nussmeier, Durham, Green, Sharp, Brown, Hilton, Anderson, Thomas. I mean, the list goes on and on out there. It's just, it's going to be very, very productive. And I think Barry and Brown, let's see, I think the tough part about quantifying what the wide receivers are going to do, and this will be an August conversation for sure, is I don't know what Nick Anderson's going to do. He just was such a 53% participant in spring ball with a wrap on his hamstring and coming off a weird injury where it was his hip. Yeah, it was his oblique. Yeah, it was his quad. It's mid, like what? And then he didn't go through everything in the spring. So I would have thought the day he committed, oh, that's your number 1 wide receiver. But Anderson's going to get some of his. I feel good about Hilton. And maybe they all split things to a point where nobody has a breakout year. But I feel like Brown's going to be a top 3 receiver on the team. Maybe that's breakout. Maybe that's just productive on a really good team. But I like the signing more than I did in December. That's for sure. So Barry and Brown, potential breakout player for LSU in this 2025 season. We got 1 segment to go. We'll do it next. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com is the website. I tell you a couple times a week about captives. And they're just, to me, the future of insurance. It's taking a lot of homogenous industry companies in a certain industry and pooling together your premium funds to then pay out claims. And you've got to have really good loss control to fit into it. And if you do, it can be a game changer for your commercial insurance program. The Highland Insurance Group does this kind of thing all the time. All the time. Jonathan Carbo and his team are experts when it comes to the technical aspect of insurance, and they can get creative when it comes to your premium. If you're a business owner, the odds are the first thing you think about when I say insurance is the premium. It's just natural. And it's an important thing. And the Highland Insurance Group is an independent broker. They've got contracts with multiple dozens of different markets that you can place your commercial insurance program into. And they'll make sure the premium is where it should be. They'll also make sure the coverage is where it should be. And if they need to get creative with something like a captive, they can do it. Give them a call or find them online at highlandig.com if that's something you're interested in. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them online, highlandig.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking for the pool of your dreams? Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard, 225-252-7745. BuiltByRenaissance.com. Outdoor kitchen, they got you covered. Custom pool, they got you covered. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every week. Just saw on the old Twitter machine that Joe Buck, Jim Nance, and their kids are playing golf in Cabo today at El Dorado.
That sounds nice.
It does.
Are we going to be doing that maybe in a few years, Hunt? Once the show takes off even more than it already has, and
it's going to need to take off a significant amount. I don't see a lot of golf in my future currently.
Yeah,
I see a lot of tuition bills, a lot of diapers, baby formula, frozen lasagnas, swimming lessons.
Yes,
I see a lot of that. I don't see a lot of Cabo golf currently.
Man, yeah.
But that's just where I'm sitting right now.
Who knows? You never know.
You really don't. And I haven't bought a Powerball ticket today. Maybe that happens, and then there's not going to be as much of any of that stuff.
No.
Well, there'll still be some of that.
There'll still be it. It'll still be there. It just won't be. You'll have
It won't
other.
be as burdensome.
Yeah. I was talking to Musso because yesterday was Bobby Bonilla Day, which we didn't mention on the show, but it's a classic holiday. 1.19.
1.19.
And we were pondering on what we would do if we were to be in the same situation where you were getting $1 million every year.
With taxes, you're talking about $650K or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if his agent gets any of that at this point. Like
They probably should.
Yeah, probably. So Bobby Bo catching $500,000 on July 1st every year.
Well, what would you do if that was you?
If I got $500,000, I mean, and that's the income for the year. Like I don't think I'm going crazy with it, quite frankly.
Well, no, I'm just saying, just your current situation.
Oh, if I got $500,000,
yeah,
I would just sleep better tonight. It can't that's really I just wouldn't have to sweat things as badly if they just gave me one nice check there. I'm not even asking for it every year, but you just it's just the money it tends to go in and out.
It does.
It tends to go in and out. You got education funds and IRAs and car notes, and they continue every single month. They make me pay for that house.
Yeah.
They just never stop. It's just annoying. Give me a couple of months off on the house payments.
That would be nice.
It would be. They don't ever do it. They make me pay every month. Right there on the 3rd, tomorrow, it'll be gone. Just like that. Hate to see it. But I like the house. I just don't like the check. Let's do some take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
It'll help me take my mind off all the tuition and stuff. A few Yingling flights on the water this weekend. That's going to be happening for me. 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. It's the next generation of light beer. It's light, it's cool, it's crisp, refreshing. Also maintains that delicious beer flavor. If you're headed to the water, you're looking to get something on the grill this weekend, and you want something awesome to drink, just try for the first time Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one here, Space Jam. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna take it.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Be hesitant on that.
Okay.
It's good. I enjoyed it when we bought it on Amazon.
You never
on
watched?
Saturday.
Are you talking about the new one?
No, the old one.
You never watched
it
it
in 20 years. Yes, of course I have.
I was going to say you had to.
I haven't seen it in 20 years. It turns out we bought it on Saturday for Myers to watch it.
Yeah.
It is Wednesday. I'm not hyperbole. Being dead serious.
Okay.
He's watched it 14 times. I'm not. He had tubes put in his ears on Tuesday, so he missed school. and like he just doesn't turn it off. I want to watch Michael Jordan.
Nice.
Go Michael Jordan.
Nice.
Loves it. In the movies, I mean, there are some funny lines.
Yeah.
Like Bill Murray, I did not remember him being in the movie. It's funny. Talks about wanting to play in the NBA. That's good stuff. I enjoyed
the Larry Bird, like all the Larry Bird, the Charles Barkley, all that
good.
stuff. Yeah.
And then they put in some like adult humor
They
in
did,
there as
they
well,
did.
which works. The kid has no idea what it's looking at.
Of course.
But, it's good. It's good. It's just 14 times is a lot to watch Space Jam.
It is. It is. I would
Myers
not.
really likes the opening credits where they go, "Come on and slam."
Oh,
And
yeah.
he sits on the couch and he goes, "Slam, jam, slam, jam." He likes it. It's just a lot of Space Jam.
That is. That's yeah. I'm not looking forward to watching the same thing over and over again.
You get control of the TV for a good like year, but there comes a point where you lose it. And with Myers, it's way gone.
Lost contain,
Yes.
you could say. All right, next one here. The New York Knicks, after
Oh my God.
after a very long and drawn out disaster of trying to find the next head coach, they're turning to Mike Brown. So he will be the next head coach of the Knicks. Mike Brown as the head coach of the Knicks. Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. Isn't Mike Brown like a punchline? Doesn't he coach half the teams in the league and he gets fired from all of them?
Well, he was at the Kings his last coaching job was at the Kings. He did take them to the playoffs for the first time in a long time in 2023. But then last year in 2024, they started out really poorly and they got rid of him. But he's been a coach
LeBron
of the year
fired him
twice.
in like 5 minutes. I don't know what happened when he was the Lakers coach, whatever. Like, here's the deal. This is a bad sign because Skip Bayless went on and tweeted, Mike Brown, very good.
Oh, that's not good, yeah.
And Skip Bayless's entire career has been made on what does everyone think? I'll just say the exact opposite.
Yes.
And then I'll bang the table and demand that that's correct. And so clearly he sees that opportunity when everybody goes, nobody thinks Mike Brown's a great coach. Skip Bayless, well, yeah, good coach. Good job by the Knicks.
At this point, no, he's not.
No.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Awesome. Shout out to Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. That'll wrap things up for us here on this Wednesday. Reminder, the station is off on Friday. No local shows on Friday. Tomorrow we will be in. We'll have OTB in the morning, live at lunch, 11 to 1. I'll be here 1 to 3. And then we will have Musso on AFR tomorrow as well. But Friday we will be off, so I hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July weekend. But tomorrow we have a lot to talk about. Hopefully LSU nabs a couple of commitments. I talked about that in the first segment of today's show's football commitments. LSU's got a couple of guys in their sights for 6 o'clock this evening, so we'll keep an eye on that. The baseball transfer portal is still very much open, and well, the portal's not open. There are a lot of players in the portal that can commit to you, I should say, so we'll monitor that as well. Missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. And we appreciate all of that. Check out LouisianaSports.net for free as well. That's it for us. Musso is going to drive you home on After Further Review from 3 to 6. I'll keep an eye on these LSU commitments. We'll have a write-up on the site tonight. And then tomorrow, we'll be back same time, same place for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. As I tell you every day, every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. So if you are in the market for a new vehicle and don't really want to set foot on the dealership lot this very moment, that's okay. You can check it all out online. And remember, when you're thinking about Genesis, it's a luxury brand. But when you think luxury brand, don't immediately go, I can't afford that. Take a look. Doesn't matter what you're in the market for. Sedan, SUV, they've got your entry level. They got the high-end models as well. Check them out. And if you decide, this is something I'd like to take a look at, that's great. You can have one of their brand ambassadors come to you. They can come to your place of business. They can come to your home. They can get you behind the wheel, and you'll sense that difference. And if you decide that's what you want, they can deliver your vehicle to you, and you can do e-contracts. You never have to set foot on the dealership if you don't want to. They're at Airline and Pico, across from Women's Hospital, and, of course, online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.